for Ian Hopley of Cave Rescue.
The farm is situated between two quarries. The farmer has all the land above both quarries and down the middle, and one of his sheep has gone over the top of the left-hand quarry, which is Redland, and it's stuck on a ledge and it can't get up. If it moves, it'll fall over the end and drop into the quarry. It shouldn't be too bad actually, we'll be quite high up, so we shouldn't lose the light. We'll be losing it fairly shortly. It's another half hour. Where we'll be, right up on the top I would think.
Ian's colleague Phil Haig is already on the scene with the farmer.
What I think we'll do, when it comes up with rope...
Phil, it's Ian over. Yeah, go ahead. Right, to your left, as you're looking to me, to your left, there's a crack and it's directly below you. It's about 2 to 3 foot below your knee, and it's the width of that lump of rock to your left. Are you sure you can't see it? You're almost on top of it. Move to your left.
Yeah, I'm literally within 3 foot, but it's rather a bad take-off, and if this thing decides to jump and I've grabbed it, I'm going with it, over.
Well, it's all right. If you sit astride it, you'll have a comfortable landing. Over.
Well, she had her head further round before.
Yeah. I might be on a rope, you see. I might be able to get round to it where you can.
Because I've had other arms.
Yeah. Cave Rescue saved 16 animals last year, most of them sheep.
Right, we've got the rig up, so I'm going to do the Roy Rogers bit. See what I can do.
Roger. Go on, I'm watching you from down here. Throw things out.
Today, Phil Haig is taking his 2 sons, Ben and Andrew, potholing. A schoolteacher and single parent, Phil's family life has often been at odds with his rescue work.
I think when people see us going out, they think it's a really glamorous, exciting and all sorts of things type of thing. That lasts for most people about 2 minutes. When you get out there, the reality is often quite different. You can be quite sure it's cold, it's wet, it's going to be quite distasteful at times, and there's absolutely nothing to commend it, whatever you do. But having said that, it's something that people feel they want to do and must do at times. You know, like the army bods do it, death slide or whatever they call it, they don't make it into one, whatever you do. Being a single parent makes life a little bit difficult, being a rescue worker. Sometimes the call-outs come at a time which makes it almost impossible to go. But other times, some of the lads will help out, they'll look after the kids. It depends if it's quite a serious one and they need people quickly. Obviously living on the spot, the lads will come out with me. And they help out, they make cups of tea in the depot or whatever. So more often than not we can get out, but there are times when quite simply it's just not possible. Some would say that I treat rescue work as a higher priority than the lads or a marriage. It's not true, it's just that people are people, I think, and it's part of my life for a very long time. Consequently I carry on doing it, and perhaps now without a marriage it doesn't have the same problems in a sense. But the 2 lads are the most important thing, and if it ever compromised them I'd stop it immediately.
Sunday, November the 13th, torrential rain, with more forecast. Water levels underground rise fast. At 7:15 p.m, a caving party from Leeds University is reported long overdue. They've been in the Alum Pot cave system since midday. Before it sets off, the rescue team gets instructions from Duty Controller Dave Gallivan.
Left-hand side of the Alum Pot and across the stream, it's impassable, right? You cannot get across that streamway. As far as I know, there's still 8 people trapped down Lost John.
So we could go from that one to this one?
Yeah. The night is young, I think. Yeah, that's affirmative, Brian, and also if you could keep giving us an update on the weather, perhaps every 30 minutes over.
Suddenly there's a lull in the rain. The water levels drop fast enough for the potholers to make their own escape.
So just at the entrance, the water levels have dropped just enough for them to come out.
Come down about half a metre or a metre.
The water levels are quite high, yeah?
Water levels were extremely high about an hour ago, and they've dropped half a metre to a metre, which is just enough for them to sneak out, really. Bit of a touch and go dive out, I should think, into a lot of rushing water.
Right, gents. Just so that you're aware, why I need to speak to you. Every time we have a CRO call out, we in North Yorkshire, certainly here in the police, take full responsibility.
Yeah.
Obviously we insure the CRO members. Now I'm fairly a fair novice at this, but I would suggest that the weather that we've had for the last 2 days means that you must be out of your minds going down there in this weather. And I would suggest that you start reflecting on all the people that have had to come out and put their lives at risk to get you out. Even though you did get out yourself, it was very iffy, wasn't it? Hey? What I'm trying to say to you is you're putting people at risk. You put your own lives at risk.
Yeah,
You're putting all these people, when they call a CRO team out and they find that they're having difficulty getting down, because I can tell you, gentlemen, that the CRO tonight would not have got to you, because they would have problems getting to you.
Yeah.
Because they're the experts.
We wouldn't have been in there. Though. And yeah, we probably would have lost some because conditions were.
Yeah. Okay, lads. Get yourself dried off and get a cup of tea. Okay.
Thank you.
Only 6 weeks before, the silly season began with a tragedy. A party of cavers from the University of Central Lancashire got trapped by floods. One of the group leaders was swept away to his death. The other 15 members of the party were already suffering from severe hypothermia when Michael Hale arrived from Cave Rescue.
There were 15 people, all up to their chests in water about here. The water absolutely pouring past them, all having to hang on like mad to stop themselves being washed away. And they were completely helpless, just like a load of puppies floating around in the water, all these 15 people. Some nasty decisions had to be made. I mean, it was touch and go whether I was actually going to feel that I could stay with them, whether it was faced with a situation of thinking, well, am I going to look after myself here and get out and survive, or am I going to have to stay down here and sort of watch the water levels come higher and higher until there's no airspace left, and then by which time we'd have all perished. It was quite a ferocious struggle and took 3 or 4 people of pulling further up the passage to get them up, and each time the cascade was so powerful that they were completely engulfed by it, and by the time they got to the top they'd been under the water for at least like 30 seconds, which must have seemed like a lifetime to each one of them. Rescues like that really make you sort of worry about carrying on in a cave rescue organisation, because you feel that you can't cope with some of the situations that you might be faced with, that you're not really a competent person to do it, and also it destroys caving for you as well, because when you go caving now, every time we go caving, think of all the accidents that you know of constantly going caving and going past places where people have died in really silly situations.
But some are undeterred by these treacherous waters. Cave divers gain their expertise as rescuers by risking their own lives as explorers.
We've been diving here since about 1988. That's about 6 years. I think we've probably spent more than 1,000 hours underwater on this particular project. The whole purpose of this is to try and discover a big cave that we know must exist behind the cove. We know it's there because the water has been tested from various sinks miles and miles away to the north and northwest, and they're much higher. So although the part of the cave that we're in at the moment is flooded, we know for certain that the rest of the cave mustn't be. And what we're trying to do is get through the flooded zone into the big dry cave that must exist beyond.
One man drowned in the Dales Caves last year. These divers use a rope as a lifeline to show them the way. Clouds of mud can reduce visibility to zero. Wearing air cylinders strapped to both sides so they can squeeze between the rocks, the explorers brave death in the quest for new caves.
We've had to enlarge a long series of low, difficult passages, sometimes obstructed by boulders, sometimes by big banks of sand or mud. And it's a very slow, painstaking procedure. We've tended to dive here more in the winter because the water flow is a lot stronger, and it actually carries the mud away once you've disturbed it. Unfortunately, it doesn't carry the big rocks away, of course, and they still have to be manhandled back down the passage and just lost or hidden in various odd corners. And really, we've emptied out about 200 feet of low passage like this before we made the breakthrough into the big tunnel beyond. It's a very unusual exploration because we actually have a sort of a major digging project going on a very long way into this underwater cave. It's the sort of thing that dry cavers would do all the time, but really to take on a major project like this, like the building of a big scaffolding structure in a boulder choke a long way in, it's sort of a novel idea. We use a scaffolding because we've reached an area in the cave where the roof is a little bit unstable. So in order to make sure that it doesn't fall in on us, we have to prop it up with this large steel structure. And once that's completed, we should be able to continue the exploration. I remember one occasion when I was digging at the end. It was very wet conditions, and because I was in a larger part of the passage, I didn't realise, but the water speed was increasing because it was flooding. And when I came back to the restrictions near the entrance, it was very fast flowing water, and I was actually sucked out through a long low section, totally out of control. It was just on the borderline between exhilaration and pure terror. The people that Russell and I work with, I think sometimes they think we're a bit crazy. They see us loading all the gear into the car and wandering off for weekends when they stay at home and perhaps watch football on television. I think they've no idea what it's all about really. But for me, just going to a football match wouldn't really give me the satisfaction that being involved in a project like this does do.
Just 2 days after Christmas, another shout. A serious injury in the cave known as Stream Passage Pot.
Big pitch, and his contact, over.
Roger to that. And his us. Can you give me an update on any injuries? Is it an open or a closed fracture? Over.
At 6:20 this evening, we had a phone call from the police informing us that a party of 5 cavers had got themselves into difficulty, or one of their members had. He had fallen roughly 3 metres at the bottom of the 4th pitch. Because of the weather conditions, e.g. the chance of heavy rain today, it's going to be easier for us to bring the casualty out via this route here, which is virtual walking, and bring them out via bar pot. This will involve us bringing the casualty up a 33-metre pitch, and then a small 15-metre pitch with a slight construction of the entrance. So at the moment we're just waiting now for the information to feed back to this depot from the people on the fells.
At the cave entrance, the rescuers rig up 2 ropes so the casualty can be safely hauled out. It's a skilled job. A team of 35 is needed to get him back up through the 55-foot shaft that's got a bottleneck at the top.
His right wrist is injured, and he's also got back injuries. Right. So you're going to have to be bloody careful with him.
Right.
Yeah?
That's your idea, isn't it?
The idea is steady, you know, not rushing.
Casualty report from underground. Left wrist damage, possibly broken. Right wrist slight damage. Back sore but not broken. Walking wounded. Over.
Pardon?
Explain to me how this system is going to work.
We're going to pull him up from top.
Just the one rope?
2 ropes.
How come we got 3 ropes down
There's
here?
one's SRT. One's SRT, we'll get rid of that. 1 person up onto this ledge.
Hello, it's Dave Gallivan here, duty control with the Cave Rescue, Clapham. I will be requesting an ambulance probably within the next 30 minutes to come to our depot, over.
Steady lads, no bouncing, you're bouncing lads, slow down a bit. Steady. Just keep going but steady. Come on lads. Pull. Steady. Steady. Come on, don't bounce. Lovely.
Very rollerblade, up the wall.
No, two now. Hold on one. That's lovely. Can you get stuck there?
I think I can, yeah.
Right, stop.
Yeah, whoa.
The casualty is Paul Coates, a 36-year-old firefighter from Nottingham. With severe injuries to his back and arms after a heavy fall, he's been stranded for 4.5 hours before Cave Rescue reach him at 8 p.m.
Yeah. He's up the pitch, lads. Slack on 1, pull on 2.
Slack on 1 and pull on 2.
Come on, Ralph, you're doing fine. Not too hard, lads. Steady on. Steady away. Okay, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Get a leg up. Shit, no.
No. Now just slack on 1.
Go on, pull some.
A lot of slack on 1, hold on 2. Come on.
Hold
on 2.
Just hold it 1 sec.
Slack on 1. Right, just wait there a sec now. You're going to get the other side, is it? You okay?
Yeah.
Just don't move now. Right, just have a rest. Okay.
How's it going?
Fine.
Holding him up the entrance pitch now.
Right.
So this is only just hanging to you? Yeah. I do, it's through my mate Ralph's bollocks, but there you go. Right, tuck in both ropes, nice and steady.
Get me out of here, you can do what you like with my bullets.
No! Whoa, that's a faff! Alright.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Now, we've got some little climbs here.
Yeah. Just have to duck your head under that rope.
No chance, you'll have to slack.
No,
I'll just unclip it for a minute, this one, is that alright?
Hang on, no.
Just take it round his head.
Give us a foot of slack.
If you would have got it from
I'll come up behind.
I'm immediately behind him now, mate. I'm going to do. Right, just put your foot back onto me.
I've got it.
Okay. Yeah,
Let's go back.
How's that?
Sticking a little bit.
How are we doing?
Oh, hello, young man. I thought you'd come later.
Hey?
Have you come now, obviously?
Yeah.
Have you just got up?
Just out of bed, yeah.
Oh. We've got a chappie that's fallen about 2 or 3 metres.
suspected left wrist fracture, possibly right. He's complaining of slight back pain, but we walked him, crawled him out, so...
Pass your message over.
850, the intention is to walk the casualty down to our Land Rover at Trowgill, over.
Message understood.
You understand it?
Which hand is it?
Left wrist and right wrist.
On it.
Left wrist.
Yeah, probably.
Right. If you can sit down. Can we have this
At 11:30 p.m, 8 hours after his accident, Paul Coates finally reaches the ambulance. His ordeal is nearly over.
All right. Right. We'll get them back to you then, eh? Yeah.
They're now hauling another member of the party who's rather tired and needs a haul, over.
Message understood, standing by.
When you fell, how did you land?
On my back.
You landed on your back, so you've actually winded yourself, have you?
Well, I've landed on a slab.
Yeah.
With my I would say, with my arms either side of it, hands either side of me, and then my back hit the ground.
Let me just, these are arm, you're not going to get it, are you? You're not going to get a breath with that.
Bloody hellfire. So can you drop the board there just a bit more? See how we go with that? This is excruciating. Yeah, I think. Let's just see how we go. God. I didn't mean that. Yeah. What's that?
Internox again. So we'll take the pain off.
No, still together.
Right, you see what you do without it?
No. Oh. All right in a minute.
Hey? Yeah, we're just 10 minutes off hospital now.
Okay, I'll stick it.
Do they go on top of this rope?
No, I think there's one there.
You up?
It's cold out here.
No, it's alright.
That's only your opinion.
I've been in a nice warm cab.
That's so warm as a truck.
It's New Year's Eve and the last shout of the year. An Oxford University potholer has got stuck in the notoriously narrow cave of Quaking Pot. Immobilised for hours, he's lost all feeling in his legs.
Pre-MOT today. Yes, it's Cave Rescue at Clapham with an incident down Quaking Pot, which is on Ingleborough. We've had a request from the duty controller for assistance from yourselves. Our belief is that there is somebody physically stuck. We haven't had reports of any injuries yet. It's one of the tightest caves in the Dales, so we've got a fairly severe problem.
You back Toby up with you, because Toby will get close to him. But they have got a knife, and the plan was to cut all his gear off. Yeah, not his legs, just his gear. Can we bang this kit in that vehicle, Jack? Yeah.
We'll get a hand light down this bit for later on. Yeah.
Get a bloody winch to get me out.
A winch or a winch?
It's good enough.
Did they get them bigger, Phil? Oh.
What's he going to do?
This afternoon. Yeah, it's a bit thin now, that wind's getting up as well. If it starts to snow, it'll be mean on here.
Hey, nice. Yeah? Fucking typical storm. I was in it. Hey, fucking 900 now. Yeah, you know.
Crew base from 450.
Where's Toby?
Toby's underground. You've 6 underground.
The cave is so narrow, the rescuers turn to their trusted secret weapon, Toby Chilton. He goes on down, while the others prepare to haul up the casualty.
Can we have a sling? Or is that possible? We still need some short ropes, 2 more 20s, please.
Bring us one of those ropes and 20. We'll link it up down here.
2 20-metre ropes on the surface. Has anyone got any trouble? There's 60 here. Yeah, that'll do. Just pass it forward. No, we'll get a big one slug. Hello.
There's a belt that come up the 1,004 pitch under his own steam.
Right. Just a minute, lads. Say again, Nige.
He's apparently come up the 1,004 pitches under his own steam.
Right. Right, hang on a minute.
When Cave Rescue reach the trapped man, Tony Seddon, it's only to find his fellow potholers have already managed to set him free.
It's come off remarkably well. The fact I was rather scared when I heard it was in quaking and somebody was physically stuck. I had to lug a big bag of chisels and fairy liquid down to try and get right with. But managed to free themselves, I think, which was very good. And therefore we just sort of watched them make their own way out, which can only be the best way of rescuing people, I think. The easiest way, anyway.
Well, it's a reasonably awkward squeeze, but I did it wrong. I went through the tighter bit rather than the bigger bit, and just got completely jammed. And I was there for, I think it was about 2 hours. But because I had good people with me, they got me out of it in the end. They quite a bit of tugging, pulling. Quite a relief to get out of it.
If it was hard getting in, it'll be just as hard getting out.
You're doing well. Cheers. What a fucking place.
What was it like when you were in bottom?
What was he like? How did he get him out?
How did he get him out?
They cut his lamp belt off him. Cut it with a carbide lamp. Burnt it off.
Bottom of his ass.
Yeah. Quite entertaining.
I don't think he's going to be stretcher borne, but I'll examine him and just have a... If he can get out of here, he'll be all right. It'll just be his pride and his pocket that's going to be hurt. This is going to cost him at least a bloody barrel tonight.
What a fucking place! Fucking nightmare.
This isn't their role, it's my role.
You tell him the casualties almost at the head of this page.
Yeah. We'll come out then, if you can, because this is a casualty, don't want him standing getting cold.
No, that's all right. If you like, I'll see him out, Toby, because you know what's what down there, so you can warn people about which rocks are liable to move.
Right, well, I'll come out with him, because I'm supposed to be the first aider.
Oh, right, if you're technically the first aider, you had better go out.
That's right. Oh, no, he doesn't need first aid, he's all right.
Excellent.
Done a good job, he has.
Tony, yeah. You see that rock by your knee? That could fall, and the big brown boulder with your hand, tread right on the back of it.
Okay.
Okay, come on. 845 Crow 1.
Yeah, pass the message, Jacko.
84541. Patient now on the surface. Fitting well. We're just going to debrief him, and then I think we'll probably keep him in the vehicle and bring him down in the vehicle and wait for our guys to exit. There's quite a few out, but I think there are another 4 or 5 people on the ground and a load of equipment.
Well, I ain't going in there again. Bloody shit up. I'm not going to be next time they call for that.
I think yourself lucky he wasn't injured, fellas.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
it.
not
The year's 59th shout brings 1994 to a close.
Well, it'll cost you a few pints on Christmas, on New Year's Eve, won't it? I mean,
Perfectly happy.
somebody did suggest a couple of barrels, but I think we'll all settle for a pint each.
That'd be melodramatic. There was a couple of moments where I thought it would be conceded next year. Oh dear.
Well, you feel like that, don't you? I mean, you often
feel like that.
I mean, it's understandable.
Yeah.
In fact, we sent a knife up with instructions that if they couldn't cut you free, they were to sort of chop bits off.
Yeah.
In the last 60 years, the volunteers of Cave Rescue have come to the aid of some 3,000 people.